Good morning, everyone. Have you ever wondered why a man suddenly reappears after disappearing without a word? You've moved on, you've healed, and then boom, a message pops up. Hey, how have you been? Today I'll be breaking down the real reasons why men return after no contact. Understanding these reasons can help you make the right decision when that message comes through. One of the strongest psychological triggers that make men return after no contact is the scarcity principle. This concept suggests that when something becomes less available, its perceived value increases. In relationships, the same rule applies. When you are accessible, constantly checking in or seeking closure, he may not have felt the urgency to appreciate you. However, when you completely disappear, something shifts in his mind. At first, he might not even notice your absence. He could be caught up in his own world, thinking that if he ever wants to talk to you again, he can easily do so. But as time passes and you remain silent, a sense of uncertainty creeps in. He starts to question, why hasn't she reached out? Has she moved on? Did she find someone better? These questions begin to build in his mind, creating a sense of unease that fuels his curiosity. Men are naturally drawn to challenges. When you remove yourself from the equation, you become that challenge. He starts to realize that your presence in his life was not guaranteed, and the fear of losing you completely starts to set in. This is when he may begin reminiscing about the good times you shared, rereading old messages, or even checking your social media to see if you're still thinking about him. The irony is that many times, men don't return because they are suddenly overwhelmed with deep emotions. Rather, it's the fear of losing something valuable that drives them to reconnect. If he believes that you are slipping away, he might act to regain control, sometimes out of genuineness and other times simply to reassure himself that he can still have access to you. This is why no contact can be so powerful. It shifts the dynamic, placing you in control rather than him. Instead of chasing or over-explaining yourself, you allow him to feel the void you left behind. If he truly values you, he will start to recognize that your presence was never something to take for granted. However, it's important to note that just because he returns doesn't mean his intentions are pure. Some men return simply to satisfy their ego, to see if they still have power over you, or to ease their own loneliness. That's why when he does come back, it's crucial to assess his actions rather than his words. Ultimately, the scarcity principle works because it taps into human nature. When something becomes rare, we want it more. And when you master the ability to walk away and truly focus on yourself, you become that rare, high-value person who isn't easily accessible. That's when he starts realizing what he lost out. One of the most powerful reasons a man returns after no contact is that he begins to miss the deep emotional connection he once had with you. While many people assume that men are primarily driven by physical attraction or surface-level interactions, the truth is that emotional bonds play a crucial role in why they seek relationships in the first place. When that connection is suddenly removed, it can create an emotional void that is difficult to ignore. In the beginning, he may not even realize he's missing it. He might distract himself with work, friends, or even new romantic interests, thinking that moving on is as simple as keeping busy. But over time, those distractions begin to fade, and he starts to feel the absence of something more meaningful. It's not just about the late-night talks, the inside jokes, or the way you made him laugh. It's about how you made him feel. You see, when a man is emotionally connected to a woman, she becomes a safe space for him. In a world where men are often expected to be tough, independent, and unemotional, being with someone who truly understands and accepts him can be incredibly comforting. You may have been the one person he could open up to, the one who supported him during tough times, and the one who made him feel understood without judgment. When that emotional support disappears, he starts to feel its absence more profoundly than he expected. It's often in moments of solitude, when he's alone at night, when he faces stress, or when he experiences personal struggles, that he realizes just how much he leaned on you emotionally. The messages he used to receive from you, checking in on his well-being, the encouragement you gave when he doubted himself, the way you listened to his worries without trying to fix everything, these small yet significant moments leave a lasting impact. Over time, he begins to compare his interactions with others to what he had with you. If he tries to seek comfort in friends or new relationships, he may find that the emotional connection just isn't the same. He may feel like other people don't understand him the way you did, or that new connections lack the depth and warmth he once took for granted. This realization can be unsettling for him. At first, he might try to brush it off, convincing himself that he's fine without you. But as the days or weeks pass, the emotional gap remains. He starts reminiscing about the past, replaying conversations in his mind, and feeling drawn back to the one person who made him feel truly seen and appreciated. The irony is that many men don't fully appreciate the emotional connection they have with someone until it's gone. In the moment, they might believe they can easily find the same bond elsewhere, only to realize later that true emotional connections are rare and valuable. When this awareness hits, he may begin to crave that connection again, leading him to reach out in an attempt to reconnect. However, it's important to recognize that missing an emotional connection doesn't necessarily mean he's ready to reciprocate it in the way you deserve. Sometimes men return not because they're prepared to nurture the relationship properly, but because they want to feel that connection again without putting in the work to sustain it. That's why when he comes back, it's crucial to observe whether he's truly changed or if he's simply looking for temporary emotional relief. The emotional bond you built with him is powerful, and its absence can create a strong pull that draws him back toward you. Whether or not you allow him back into your life depends on whether he values and respects the connection enough to truly invest in it. One of the biggest reasons men return after no contact is because their ego takes a hit when you don't chase after them. Many men, whether they realize it or not, have a subconscious expectation that a woman will reach out, ask for closure, try to fix things after a breakup or period of silence. When that doesn't happen, it can trigger feelings of self-doubt and insecurity, leading them to return not necessarily out of love, but out of a need to restore their sense of control. At the start of the separation, he might feel confident in his decision. If he was the one who pulled away or ended things, he might assume that you'll struggle to move on without him. He may expect you to send long emotional texts, try to reconnect, or show signs that you're still attached. But when none of that happens, when you remain silent, composed, and unbothered, it disrupts the narrative in his head. He starts questioning himself, wait, did she not care as much as I thought? Why hasn't she reached out? Has she already replaced me? These thoughts create an unsettling feeling for him because they challenge his perception of how much power he had in the relationship. If he assumed you were deeply attached to him, your silence makes him wonder if you overestimated his importance in your life. Men by nature are competitive. They often view relationships through a lens of status, validation, and self-worth. If he starts feeling like he lost some level of control, his bruised ego may push him to come back, not necessarily because he wants to rekindle the relationship, but because he needs to reaffirm that he still holds a place in your life. Sometimes this behavior is purely about validation. He may send a casual message like, hey, how have you been? Or react to your social media posts to see if you respond enthusiastically. If you do, it reassures him that he still has access to you, which soothes his ego. On the other hand, if you ignore him or give a lukewarm response, it might frustrate him even more, driving him to put in more effort to regain your attention. This pattern is especially common with men who have a strong need for external validation. If he's someone who thrives on attention and admiration, your lack of reaction makes him feel invisible, and that's something his ego can't handle. He may begin replaying memories, wondering if he misjudged how much you cared. In some cases, he may even feel a sense of rejection, even if he was the one who initially left. Another element at play here is the power dynamic shift. If, during the relationship, he felt like he had control over your emotions and responses, your silence disrupts that dynamic. Suddenly, you're the one who seems in control, and that can be unsettling for him. The realization that he no longer has the same influence over you can be a major factor in why he returns. Men also have a tendency to romanticize the past, especially when they feel like they no longer have easy access to something they once took for granted. Your absence forces him to reflect, and in doing so, he may start to see you in a different light. He might remember all the ways you made him feel special, the effort you put into the relationship, and the things you once overlooked. But instead of coming back with humility and true understanding, some men return simply to test the waters, seeking reassurance that they still could have you if they wanted. This is why it's important to recognize the difference between a man who returns out of genuine regret and one who comes back just to stroke his ego. If his return is driven by a bruised ego rather than a sincere desire to rebuild the relationship, his actions will reflect that. He may show up inconsistently, send vague messages, or act as if he's doing you a favor by reaching out. These are all signs that his motivation is more about himself than about truly reconnecting with you. Ultimately, a bruised ego can be a powerful force, making a man do things he never expected. The real question is whether his return is about love and respect or just about proving something to himself. Loneliness is one of the strongest emotional triggers that can make a man return after a period of no contact. At first, he may have felt fine being on his own. Maybe he enjoyed the initial freedom, spent time with friends, or even explored new romantic interests. But as time passes and the excitement of his newfound independence fades, a deep sense of emptiness can start to creep in. That's when he begins to feel the weight of loneliness, and when his thoughts inevitably drift back to you. The truth is, many men don't immediately process their emotions after a breakup or separation. Instead of sitting with their feelings and working through them, they often try to distract themselves. They might dive into work, go out more often, or even start dating casually, but these distractions are temporary. The parties end, conversations with new people don't feel as deep, and the late night moments of solitude hit harder than expected. In these quiet moments when he's lying in bed at night, driving alone, or sitting in a room that feels a little too empty, he begins to feel the void that you once filled. He might reach for his phone, instinctively wanting to text you, only to remember that you're no longer there. The absence of your presence, your voice, and your comfort starts to feel overwhelming. Loneliness has a way of making people reflect. He starts to think about the relationship and what he lost. The little things, your laughter, the way you listened to him, the warmth of your presence suddenly feel like things he took for granted. When a man is lonely, his mind tends to romanticize the past, making him focus on the best parts of the relationship rather than the reasons why it ended. This is especially true if he hasn't found someone else who gives him the same emotional security and connection that you did. If he's been dating around but hasn't felt that same level of closeness, it only intensifies his loneliness. He might even compare other people to you, realizing that what he once had was rare and valuable. Sometimes loneliness can hit unexpectedly. Maybe he sees a happy couple at a restaurant and suddenly feels the ache of missing what he once had with you. Perhaps he hears a song that reminds him of a special moment you shared, or he stumbles upon an old picture of the two of you. These small triggers can bring a flood of emotions, making him realize just how much he misses having someone who truly cared for him. What makes loneliness even more powerful is that it doesn't just affect his emotions, it affects his behavior. A man who is feeling lonely may start looking for any form of emotional comfort, and the easiest place to seek it is in familiar territory, you. He knows that you once provided warmth, support, and love, and in his moment of vulnerability, he may reach out hoping to experience that again. But it's important to recognize that loneliness doesn't always mean he has changed or that he's coming back for the right reasons. Sometimes, a man will return simply because he wants to fill the emptiness he's feeling, not because he's ready to rebuild the relationship in a meaningful way. If his return is motivated by loneliness rather than genuine growth, there's a chance that once his need for comfort is met, he may disappear again. Loneliness can be a powerful force, making people act on impulse, but whether his return is temporary or genuine depends on what he does after he reaches out. One of the most unexpected yet powerful reasons a man returns after no contact is when he realizes that you are not just surviving without him, you are thriving. At first, he may have assumed that you would struggle to move on, that you would be heartbroken and waiting for him to come back. But when he sees that you are happy, glowing, and living your best life without him, it triggers a reaction you wasn't prepared for. In the beginning, he might not even check up on you. He may have been confident that you would reach out or that he could always come back whenever you wanted. But as time passes, curiosity starts to creep in. He may casually ask mutual friends about you, or in today's digital age, check your social media. What he expects to see is someone sad, stuck in the past, or maybe even still longing for him. But instead, he sees something entirely different. You're smiling, going out with friends, working on your goals, looking more confident, and radiating happiness. You're not just moving on, you're glowing up. And that realization shakes him. Men are naturally competitive, and they also have a strong psychological attachment to their past relationships, even if they were the ones to end them. When he sees that you're thriving without him, it challenges his ego. He starts wondering, wait, was I not as important as I thought? How is she doing better without me? Did she upgrade to someone better? This realization can be unsettling for him. He may have thought he had more time to figure things out, that you would always be there waiting. But seeing you flourish without him makes him realize that his presence was never a necessity in your life, it was simply a choice. And that is what truly bothers him. Your growth and happiness without him highlights something he may not have acknowledged before, that you were always valuable, with or without him. He begins to compare your life now to what it was when you were together. And if he notices that you seem happier and more at peace, it forces him to confront the possibility that he may have been holding you back in some way. This often happens because men tend to process breakups differently than women. While women often go through the healing process immediately feeling the pain, working through emotions, and then rebuilding themselves, men tend to distract themselves at first. They avoid their emotions, believing they can simply move forward without really dealing with the loss. But over time, those distractions fade and reality sets in. When he finally looks back, expecting to see someone who is struggling without him, but instead finds a stronger, more independent version of you, it creates a psychological shift. Suddenly, he's the one feeling the loss while you are outgrowing what you once had. Even if he thought he didn't want the relationship anymore, seeing you happy and independent can trigger regret. He may start to wonder if he made a mistake, if he underestimated your value, or if you let go of something special without fully appreciating it. He may even begin to doubt his own decisions, thinking that if you have improved so much without him, maybe he was the one who was missing something all along. In some cases, a man may come back after seeing you thrive simply because he doesn't want to feel like you lost. If he sees that you've moved on successfully, especially if you're glowing, achieving your goals, or even dating someone new, it can spark a competitive urge in him. He may not have thought about you for months, but the moment he sees you with another man, suddenly he feels the need to come back and reclaim his place in your life. This is why focusing on your own growth after a breakup is one of the most powerful things you can do. And not only does it help you heal and build a better life for yourself, but it also shifts the dynamic completely. Instead of you being the one who was left behind, he is the one who feels like he lost something valuable. And that realization can make him chase after you in a way he never did before. But the real question is, if he only returns after seeing you thriving, is he truly coming back for you, or is he just reacting to his own insecurities? One of the biggest reasons men come back after no contact is that they start comparing every new person they meet to you when no one else measures up. At first, he may have thought that moving on would be easy. He might have even convinced himself that he would find someone better, or that there were plenty of options out there. But over time, he begins to realize that the connection he had with you isn't something he could easily replace. In the early stages of no contact, he might feel confident, even relieved. If he was the one who ended things, he may have believed that he was making the right decision. He might have been excited about being single again, thinking that dating new people or enjoying his independence would bring him happiness. But what often happens is that reality doesn't match his expectations. If he starts dating again, he may initially feel a sense of excitement. A new person can bring fresh energy, novelty, and the thrill of the unknown. But as time passes, he starts to notice the little things, the lack of depth in conversations, the absence of emotional comfort, the way no one else quite understands him like you did. He might even find himself getting irritated or frustrated with new people, realizing that the qualities he once overlooked in you were actually rare and valuable. This is especially true if you had a deep emotional bond. Emotional intimacy is something that takes time to build, and when a man has had that with someone, he may not find it again so easily. If you were someone who truly listened to him, supported him, and made him feel seen and understood, he may start to feel a void when he's with other people. He may crave that emotional connection again, only to find that others don't offer the same level of depth. Beyond emotional connection, he may also realize that the way you treated him was special. Maybe you were kind, supportive, and genuinely cared about his well-being. You might have gone out of your way to make him feel loved, whether through thoughtful gestures, patience, or simply being there when he needed you. When he starts comparing that to the more surface-level interactions he's experiencing now, he may begin to regret taking you for granted. This realization doesn't always come immediately. Sometimes it takes weeks or even months before it truly sinks in. It may hit him when he's out on a date and realizes that the conversation feels forced, that there's no natural chemistry. It may happen when he's sick and remembers how you used to take care of him. Or maybe he's having a bad day and realizes that there's no one he can turn to who will comfort him the way you did. Men often assume that they can easily replace a good woman. They may believe that they can move on quickly, that there will always be someone else waiting for them. But what they fail to realize is that true connection, real love, and genuine compatibility are rare. And when he finally understands that, he starts to see you in a different light. This is especially true if he left thinking that the grass is greener on the other side. Maybe he thought that being single again would be fun, or maybe he believed that dating someone new would bring him more excitement. But when he realizes that new doesn't always mean better, that excitement fades. He starts to appreciate the stability, warmth, and authenticity that he had with you. And if you were someone who truly elevated his life, helping him grow, inspiring him, or supporting his dreams, he will feel your absence even more deeply. A high-value woman who brings out the best in a man isn't easy to replace. And once he recognizes that, he may feel an overwhelming urge to reconnect. However, just because he realizes no one else measures up doesn't necessarily mean he's coming back for the right reasons. Sometimes men return not because they genuinely want to rebuild the relationship, but because they don't like the feeling of losing something valuable. They may come back to test if they still have access to you, seeking validation rather than true commitment. This is why it's important to pay attention to why he's coming back. Is he showing real change, or is he just acting out of regret? Because realizing that no one else measures up is one thing, being willing to put in the effort to rebuild what was lost is another. Sometimes when a man comes back after no contact, it's not because he's fully decided that he wants to rekindle the relationship. Instead, he may just be testing the waters, trying to gauge whether you're still available, interested, or emotionally attached to him. He might not even have a clear intention in mind, but his curiosity, pride, or uncertainty drive him to reach out in subtle ways to see how you respond. This kind of behavior often comes from a place of hesitation. He may not be sure if he truly wants to get back together, but he also doesn't want to feel like he's lost you completely. In his mind, he may be thinking, does she still have feelings for me? Can I come back if I want to? Has she moved on? Or is there still an opening for me? Because he's unsure, he won't come back with a direct or obvious declaration of wanting you back. Instead, he'll take small, non-committal actions, little breadcrumbs, that allow him to check your reaction without putting himself in a vulnerable position. You might notice him reaching out in ways that feel casual or ambiguous, such as sending a simple "Hey" or "How have you been?" message, reacting to your social media posts with likes or comments, asking mutual friends about you, bringing up old memories as a way to spark nostalgia, sending a random text about something meaningless, just to see if you respond at first glance. These gestures may seem harmless or even insignificant, but they are often strategic. He's not fully investing in the relationship again, he's just checking if the door is still open. If you respond warmly or seem excited to hear from him, it reassures him that he still holds a place in your life. If you ignore him or give short, detached responses, he may pull back and reconsider his approach. In many cases, men test the waters because they're feeling a mix of emotions, regret, loneliness, curiosity, or even jealousy. If he starts to sense that you're truly moving on, especially if you're happy and unbothered, it can trigger a need to reinsert himself into your life. He might not even realize why he's doing it. He just knows that he suddenly feels the urge to check in. Another reason men test the waters is because they fear rejection. If he's unsure about your feelings, he may be too afraid to come back with a grand, heartfelt apology. Instead, he takes the safer route, dropping hints, making small gestures, and waiting to see if he'll take the bait. This allows him to protect his ego while still satisfying his curiosity. Some men also do this as a way of keeping their options open. He may not be fully committed to coming back, but he also doesn't want to see you move on without him. By staying in light contact or making small attempts to reconnect, he keeps himself in your orbit. This way, if he ever decides that he does want to return, he knows he hasn't completely burned the bridge. However, it's important to be cautious when a man is only testing the waters. If he truly wanted to be with you, he would make that clear. A man who is serious about reconnecting won't just send vague messages or drop likes on your photos. He will take real action, show genuine effort, and be upfront about his intentions. Testing the waters is often more about him than it is about you. It's a way for him to feel out his options, soothe his ego, or satisfy his curiosity. But whether his return is temporary or meaningful depends on what he does after that initial test. One of the most significant reasons a man may return after no contact is that he believes he is finally ready to commit. Whether he has gone through personal growth, realized what he lost, or simply matured over time, he comes back because he now sees the value in what he had with you and wants to build something lasting. However, there's also the possibility that he thinks he's ready without truly understanding what commitment actually requires. At first, he may not have fully appreciated what it meant to be in a committed relationship. Maybe he feared losing his independence, wasn't emotionally mature enough to handle real intimacy, or was unsure about his feelings. Many men struggle with commitment, not because they don't care about their partners, but because they aren't yet in a place where they can fully invest in a relationship. Instead of facing their fears and working through them, they may choose to walk away only to realize later that the connection they had was special and worth fighting for. During the no-contact period, he may have gone through a lot of self-reflection. He might have spent time alone, focusing on personal development, career goals, or emotional healing. Perhaps he has worked through some of the fears or insecurities that once held him back. As he looks back on your relationship, he begins to understand what he had and why it was valuable. He realizes that love isn't just about excitement and passion, it's about trust, consistency, and genuine partnership. This realization can be triggered by various factors. Maybe he has seen friends settling down and starting families, making him reflect on his own life. Maybe he has dated other people and found those connections lacking in depth and meaning. Or perhaps he simply matured with time and now understands what he truly wants. However, there's a crucial difference between thinking he's ready and actually being ready. Some men come back because they feel the idea of commitment makes sense. They miss you. They don't want to be alone. And they believe that being in a relationship again will make them happy. But when faced with the realities of a committed partnership, they may still struggle with the same patterns that caused issues before. For example, if you previously avoided serious conversations, ran from emotional vulnerability, or failed to show up for you in the way you needed, has that truly changed? Does he now understand what it takes to maintain a healthy, lasting relationship, or is he simply acting on the fear of losing you for good? A man who is truly ready to commit will not only return with words, but with actions. He won't just say, "I miss you," or "I want to try again." He will show through consistent effort that he is prepared to be a better partner. He will take accountability for past mistakes, communicate openly, and demonstrate emotional availability. He will understand that commitment is not just about wanting you back, it's about earning your trust again. On the other hand, if he only thinks he's ready, you may notice signs of hesitation. He might start strong, making big promises, but struggle to follow through. He may become overwhelmed when the relationship requires real work, or revert to old habits once the excitement of rekindling fades. This often happens when a man mistakes missing you for being ready. He craves the comfort of the relationship, but hasn't fully confronted the challenges that caused it to break down in the first place. This is why it's essential to observe his behavior carefully. Is he coming back because he genuinely wants to build a future with you, or is he acting out of fear, loneliness, or regret? True commitment means consistency, responsibility, and effort, not just a desire to be back together. A man who is truly ready to commit will prove it through his actions, not just his words. But whether his return is genuine or temporary depends on what he does after he says he wants you back. When a man returns after no contact, it's rarely a simple decision. His reasons can range from curiosity and loneliness to genuine regret and a newfound readiness to commit. But the most important thing to remember is this: his return should not be the focus. Your happiness, growth, and emotional well-being should be. The real question isn't why he's coming back, it's whether his return truly serves you. Does he bring the consistency, effort, and accountability needed to rebuild what was lost? Has he genuinely changed, or is he just reacting to his own fears and emotions? You are not an option or a backup plan. You are someone deserving of love, respect, and commitment, not just when he realizes what he lost, but always. So if he comes back, don't just listen to his words, watch his actions. And most importantly, ask yourself, is this the love and partnership I truly deserve?